I just can't help it think, and I'm just going to air it for the sake of it, the big electric vehicles scam and scheme that we got going on. Like, it's getting pushed majorly, I know, all around the world, but especially in Australia. And you got these dickheads that buy these electric vehicles, think they're saving the planet, and the same people also tell us how terrible coal is, yet they're using coal-fired power stations to charge their electric vehicles. Are these people like absolutely spastically retarded or what? You know, same with wind turbines and all these solar panels. If we didn't have a throwaway society and we reconditioned the engines of the cars that we already drive now, and instead of having a car last 10 years, we make it last 30. Like my four-wheel drive now, it's 32 years old. It's going strong as. Listen to this. Goes fine. That's why I've just spent a whole heap of money on it, because I'm going to get another at least 5 years out of life out of it. I'm going to take this wherever I go. This is my four-wheel drive camping vehicle, touring vehicle for the next 5 years, even after it's 30 years old. So if we didn't throw things away and we recondition them, reconditioning engines and mechanics is a dying industry. Now we're just going to plug and play electric. Everything's digitalized and electric, and all filthy lithium-ion battery cells and all that sort of toxic shit. The amount of shit and waste and pollution it takes to create new vehicles, getting the lithium out of the ground and shipping these things, shipping all those raw products all over the world, mainly to China, to get turned into batteries that go into cars, and then they get shipped all over the world again, and then we're still using coal and other so-called inefficient electricity sources to create the electricity to charge these ridiculously spastic electric vehicles. That would, any benefits would be offset by the terrible pollution caused to make all these things. We'd be way better off environmentally if we just reconditioned the older cars that we had, ran them on alcohol biodiesel, steam. You know, stop pulling the wool over our, like, people must think that we're all retards. Not all of us are. Some of us can see through the wool, see through the fog and the bullshit that you're teaching our kids. I get kids and good-hearted people trying to tell me about saving the planet and blah 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 blah, and you ask them, well, what's your solution? Oh, geothermal, nuclear, and all this shit. But what they're talking about, just to the back to the end of my last video, and what I was getting at is people tell me about train lines and new renewable energy sources, whether it's huge solar farms, whether it's those big solar wind-powered turbines, and geothermal things, and even the current coal mines and that we have right now. You know, if you look around most countries, Australia especially, you'll see dirty big power lines everywhere. The amount of infrastructure involved, costs involved with building these things, the hypocritical tale that's never told of clearing the land, buying up the land, clearing the land, the amount of concrete that goes in, especially for these windmills or wind turbines. You know, the costs of manufacturing, and when I'm talking cost, not only the financial cost, but I mean the energy that goes into it, the mining, the diesel used to extract the stuff out of the ground to transport it around the world, to be refined into a material or a product, then sent to wherever it goes to be manufactured, assembled, and then finally brought to its destination, whether from ships, from shipping to ports, from transport on trucks, the helicopters used to install these things, and then to lay the electric cable. And then not only that, is the amount of energy to mine the resources to make the cabling, to take the energy from one place, hundreds of kilometers, thousands of kilometers away, then, and anyone who knows anything about electrics will know that there's the voltage drop or the power loss. It's not a constant, from X amount of energy put in at one end at these power stations, by the time it gets hundreds of kilometers away, thousands of kilometers away, the energy drops off. So, and then you have big dirty power lines that get damaged in storms and high winds and things like that. They need constant maintenance. Maintenance crews use helicopters, it's just an absolute massive joke. We're far better off having, obviously they might be good for certain instances like powering a city, but when we have like small rural towns the whole way across this massive, vast nation, especially when those towns only have, a lot of rural towns will only have hundreds of people, maybe 1,000 if you're lucky. And then all of that supporting infrastructure just to go to them. And then all the other little towns beyond that might only have a pub or a service station, with 100 or so houses or less. The amount of infrastructure is insane. Where we could have locally sourced solutions where they're using locally sourced timber or coal or whatever the source is. Even if we're burning so-called absolutely filthy, dirty coal, it might be a little bit dirty, but as long as it's sourced nearby and used in its locality, it can't be that bad. The infrastructure alone for the cabling and the maintenance and all that stuff from hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away, that has to be factored into it, and that would have to be dirtier than just having the locally sourced material. And I think that there's nothing better than burning wood or other bio waste products. Surely the factories would be able to use, whether it's sawdust or waste products from agriculture and things like that, mixed with timber, mixed with other bits and pieces. Surely you must be able to make briquettes or something that a steam powered turbine or something could use. And as long as it's from what I believe, as long as it's grown, and again could be plantations or whatever, it's a locked cycle. So the carbon that's stored in the plant or the biomass that you're using is released when it's burnt, but as long as you're planting more crops and farmers are growing more crops, those new growing plants are absorbing carbon. So it's a locked cycle. It's not pulling lithium out of the ground, pulling oil out of the ground or gas and burning, and it's a finite resource. Using the biomaterials is just a locked cycle. It's perpetual, so or very close to. So come on, bit of common sense here, and then we don't. Places like Australia, whether it's Nepal or other little third world nations or Pacific Island nations, we don't need to rely on the Middle East. We don't need to rely on China's manufacturing. we can manufacture locally, you know. That's what I was getting at. So yeah, I'll just tack this back onto the old video. Good on you guys. Cheers. Have a good new year.